What's going on YouTube? Josh here checking in. We're back with episode number 2 of the comeback. So just finished off a workout and I just realized that the last video you saw me with a full beard. So I just decided out of the blue, just gonna shave it off and YOLO. So I apologize if I look like I'm 10 years younger and I should not be a physician. I should actually be in high school, but such is life, and on with the lifting. So you know, as far as the comeback is going, everything's going pretty well. I'm continuing to make progress, really not hitting any walls at this point, which is good. I'm still being very conservative with my lifts, more so with my upper body lifts. I'm feeling more comfortable pushing it a little bit more, getting into RPE ranges that are maybe more like an RPE 7 or 8, maybe a few 9s here and there, but really not so much. I'm trying to stick really in the lower range, probably RPE 7. For my lower body days, I'm still very, very light. I'm still, you know, I'm not sure if I'm gonna have a chance to film a lower body session, but if I do, you'll see it along with some of the upper body lifts that I just completed. But with the lower body sessions, I'm definitely keeping it a little bit lighter just because, you know, I am coming back from an injury. That is how I think I probably injured myself, so I don't want to overdo it and get myself into trouble. So one thing I want to talk about in this video in particular before I get into the details of the lifting is sort of one of the things that I've been incorporating with myself. So, you know, it's kind of weird because I'm a strength coach and sometimes it's difficult for me to take my own advice. You know, when you have a coach and you have somebody who kind of is expecting a check-in, they're expecting to hear about how your workouts went. You know, when I do coaching with clients, I usually use like an online spreadsheet. I usually use like Google Sheets, and then I also communicate with email. So I see their progress in their lifting log, and we talk via email and communicate sometimes via video chat. And so this person, my client, you know, who I'm coaching, they have to stay accountable to me. Not just themselves, but they have to stay accountable to somebody else and, you know, basically put in their log, go to the gym when they're supposed to. And if they don't, I'm gonna be like, what's the deal with that? You know, assuming, of course, nothing crazy happened. But they have somebody to be accountable to. What I'm getting at is I am my own coach. And it's kind of weird when you're in that situation because, you know, I don't have somebody else to be accountable for. And so one thing that I've incorporated is just a new app that I downloaded. I've got no financial interest in this. It's just something I was looking at because for me, I need to see visually. I need to see, like, you know, how am I being with my consistency? Because that was one of the things that I wanted to make sure that I could do before starting this series. It'd be really embarrassing if I started a comeback series, you know, with the intent of coming back to my strength at my peak and surpassing that, but meanwhile I can't even make it into my training sessions. Now, of course, my life is busy. I'm not gonna say I have any busier life than anybody else just because I'm a physician in residency where I have a lot of crazy schedules and stuff like that. My schedule is probably more irregular than most people, but ultimately it's not an excuse. You're a busy adult, you know, you have kids, you have whatever going on, and sometimes it's easy for let those things get in the way, which for a while I was doing. And you know, when you're busy and you're, you know, sleep deprived, things like that, it's really easy to just say, you know what, I'm just not gonna go to the gym today because, you know, I'm so tired, I'm so fill in this blank, I don't have time, I've gotta study, I've gotta do all this stuff. I just took my third and final board exam to get my medical license, which is exciting. If you were following me on Twitter, you saw some kind of updates on that. But, you know, there's a lot of stuff going on, and so you can easily make excuses, especially when you don't have somebody to be accountable to. So I don't have any steady training partners. That's another thing that sometimes helps. So like I said, I downloaded this app and I wanted to show it to you guys really quickly. Like I said, no financial interest in this. So let's see if this will work. So it's an app called Productive. So I literally only have one task that I use it for, which is just hit the gym. And so you just swipe right and it shows done. And then down at the bottom over here, if we can see that, sorry about the glare. So we can kind of, let's see here. So you go to stats and you can kind of see how you've been. So all those days that are kind of highlighted, those are the days that I've gone to the gym since I started using this app, basically like 2.5 weeks ago. So anyway, I thought this was just kind of neat. It's just something that's nice for me. It's basically the same idea as having a calendar and just putting an X or whatever that indicates that you've completed your goal for the day. And in this case, my primary goal is simply just lifting weights. You know, making sure that I can look at this and say, you know what, my goal, which in this case is to lift 5 days out of every 7, has been completed. And you know, if you saw that, there are some days where I take rest days, sometimes I take 2 rest days in a row, but nonetheless, I'm meeting that goal, which is ultimately what I want to be doing. And it's, you know, something that I've been incorporating. I found it helpful. I figured maybe some of you guys might find that helpful too. So enough of me talking, because you know, there's lifting footage to talk about. So for the rest of the video, I'm just gonna discuss some of the lifting and things like that. Anyway, I hope you guys are enjoying this series. I'm enjoying filming it. I am feeling effing phenomenal getting back in the gym, you know, just being consistent again, feeling like I'm not a complete weak POS. I know I am very weak compared to many YouTubers. I'm very weak compared to where I once was. But honestly, compared to where I was 8 or 12 weeks ago, not really being able to lift at all, I am very satisfied with where I'm at. So anyway, guys, if you have anything that you want to see specifically in these videos, definitely post those in the comments below. Don't forget to give a thumbs up. This video is not over. There will be more lifting footage, which I will talk about right now. And on to deadlifts. So there are a few things I'm working on with these deadlifts here. You might notice that I'm doing a double overhand grip. I've made a post about this on Instagram that I'm working on my hook grip for the past maybe 7 or 8 weeks, slowly building up the weight. And this is definitely not the max weight that I can handle with the hook grip, but it is, you know, something that I've had to slowly adapt to, and I've been taking this as an opportunity to work on both my hook grip as well as my technique in general for the sumo deadlift. So one thing that I'm working on here, filming particularly from the side just for my own benefit, is working on kind of keeping a more upright torso, getting those hips down a little bit more, and really opening up those hips, getting really good external rotation at those hips, which is kind of the same as saying that I'm turning my feet a little bit more out than I did previously. I'm doing all these things because when I converted to the sumo deadlift a few years back, I just don't know if I had the mobility and the strength to do that correctly, so I want to see how far that'll take me. Regarding the straight leg deadlift, I was thinking back, and honestly this has been a staple in my strength training programming for as long as I can remember. I don't know, I just don't like training my deadlift without including the straight leg deadlift as one of the accessories. A lot of the other things I'll cycle in and out, but straight legs have definitely been a staple. So anyway, front squats over here, there are a few things that you'll notice. One, the weight's not very heavy, okay, clearly, we've mentioned that, I'm building back up. 2, you'll notice that the descent is quite slow. I'm going pretty much ATG, and the stance is relatively narrow. So, you know, going slow is one thing that I've had to teach myself, because in the past I would descend a little bit too quickly, lose some control in the hole, and I think, you know, especially if people who have SI joint issues, that can really become an issue. So the last thing we're going to talk about here, the last video clip of lifting, the banded GHR, all I have to say is give this a shot and let me know how it goes in the comments. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up. Stay tuned for the rest of the comeback series. I'll catch you guys next time.